Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of littleguy.cgi.com, and today I want to show you another way to do Polygon hair inside of Blender 2.71. I say another way because just recently I had done a hair tutorial, and this way I think works a little bit better when you're dealing with longer hair. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe programs or other 3D programs. Okay, basically this is this model you see here is based on the female model I did in another tutorial. I didn't do a face tutorial yet for that one, but I probably will, hopefully in the near future. Anyway, here we are in object mode in Blender. When you first come into Blender, you're in object mode. We're going to select right here. Whoops, we're going to select our mesh first. We're going to select right here and go into edit mode. The main reason why we're going in here is so we can put a dot right here. And what we're going to do now is hit Shift S to bring up our Snap To menu. Then we're going to select Cursor to Selected. So the only reason why we even came into this mesh was so that we could easily put our cursor right here. And then we're just going to hit Tab to go back into object mode. Okay, in Blender, wherever your 3D cursor is at is where objects will come into this world. So what we're going to do now is hit Shift A. You're going to go to Curve, and then you're going to choose Bezier to bring in a Bezier curve. Okay, and now with the curve still selected, you're going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis, 9-0. Left click to lock in. You're then going to hit R to rotate on the Z-axis, 9-0. Left click to lock in. And you can see our curve is placed right there. We're going to hit Control Space to make sure that our manipulator is showing. If your manipulator gets in your way, you hit Control Space. Whoops. Hit Control Space, it takes it away. Control Space, it brings it right back. We're going to take a manipulator and move the curve up. We're then going to hit S to scale. Then drag it back a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to this menu right here. You can hold your middle mouse button and pull to the side to get your panel to move. Select the curve here. I'm going to pull this panel out to the side. Just by hovering my mouse right here, it allows me to have this ability to pull this panel out to the side. And what you want to do is take this depth up to 5 and take the resolution up to 2. This method of doing hair like this, I learned this from David Ward, who I've learned a lot of very cool stuff from. Okay, now with this depth on 5 and resolution up to 2, you want to take your fill, change this fill from half to full. Okay, and with the curve still selected, what you're going to do is go to Object, go all the way up to the top of this menu right here in the Object menu, and change. You're going to go to Convert, and then choose this selection right here, Mesh from Curve. Okay, and now that this curve is a mesh, what we're going to do is hit Tab to go into object mode. We're going to hit A to select the full curve. Then I'm going to hold my middle mouse button, just turn to the side a little bit, and I'm going to hold Alt, and then I'm going to hit S, which allows us to make things thicker or skinnier. So we're just going to make it nice and thick like that. And then I'm just going to hold the middle mouse button and look around. I'm going to hit S to scale on the Y axis to make it a little bit longer. I'm then going to go to Edge Select. In Blender, you select in vertices, edges, or faces. Here's Edge Select right here. I'm going to hold Shift to pan. I'm going to take the middle mouse button. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate. I'm just rolling in with the middle mouse button, zoom. I'm going to hit A to deselect all that. I'm going to hold Alt with Edge Select still on. I'm going to select this entire edge. By holding Alt, it allows me to select the entire edge loop, I should say. I'm then going to hit Control F to do a grid fill. And a grid fill is nice because it doesn't just give you one flat polygon. It gives you some more geometry in there. With that selected, I'm now going to hold Alt and push S to make this come more to a point like that. I'm just going to take my manipulator and push this down some. Rolling back with my middle mouse button, holding the middle mouse button to turn. I'm holding shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hit A to deselect everything, hit A again to select everything, and then A again. I just did that just to make sure absolutely nothing was selected. I'm going to hold Alt, select this. Whoops. I'm going to hit A to deselect that. I'm going to hold Alt, select this edge. I'm going to hit Control F for grid fill, and then put that, that geometry right there. I'm then going to hit Alt S to shrink this up about like that. Okay, I'm just holding my middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to pull this out just a little bit. Now I'm going to hit Z to go transparent. I'm going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to select right here to go to box select. I'm going to hit B, sorry, to face select right there. B for box select. That's how I have this thing right here by hitting B. And it allows me to draw a box and select right there. I'm going to hit O to turn proportional edit on, which is right here. I'm going to hit G to see the area of proportional edit. When I roll my mouse wheel out, it grows, roll in, it shrinks. I'm going to put the area of influence like that about. I'm going to left click to lock it in. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X axis to turn it. Then I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to affect my area of influence. I'm going to left click to lock it in and take my proportional edit tool to control the shape of it. I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X axis again. Left click to lock in. And I've rotated on the X axis. I'm going to take the manipulator and just push in a little bit and push down a little bit. I think we're going to hit G. Roll my area of influence up and hit Z to push down a little bit more. Then I'm probably going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to hold Alt, select, whoops. I'm going to select this loop cut right here, hit G, roll my area of influence down by rolling the mouse wheel. Just take this up just a little bit. Now to grab that whole piece of hair, I'm going to hit Control L. I'm just going to move the whole, whoops. I want to turn off this proportional edit. I'm going to do that by hitting O. You see when that blue goes away, I can tell the proportional edit's off. I'm going to pull this back to about here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, in case you want to, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put a material in here, which gives you a nice, cool looking, I think, but cartoony look. In case you want to change this later on and have put a texture in it, a good way to do that is while we're just doing with this this one piece of hair. If you want to set this up so you have a UV map later on, what you would do is with your edge select on, hold Alt, and just select an edge loop. Actually, let's grab this one right here. We'll select that. Yeah, we'll grab this one right here. And all you're going to do is hit Control E, mark seam, and then just if you want to have that option later by having this on this one piece, we're going to duplicate this, and that'll just make it easier for the future if you do choose to do that. Okay, and that was yet again another David Ward technique. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to vertice select. We're going to select one of the vertices right here. We're going to hit we are going to hit Shift S to bring up our snap menu. We're going to do cursor to selected to bring our cursor right back to here again. We're now going to change this from Blender's default medium point to 3D cursor point. What that'll do is let the hair pieces we make pivot right on this 3D cursor. So we're going to select here. As long as we select a vertice, an edge, or a face, and then hit Control L, we'll select the entire piece of geometry we're dealing with. We're going to hit Shift D, left click to lock in, then we're going to hit R to rotate on the Z axis, and you can see it pivots right there on that. It pivots right there on that 3D cursor. So we're just going to hit Shift D again, R to rotate on the Z axis. Shift D again, R to rotate on the Z axis. Shift Z yet again, R to rotate on the Z axis. Just rolling out, taking a look here. Then we're going to do one more Shift D, R, whoops. auto rotate on the Z axis. Okay, so we have half of the hair done. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a mirror modifier to make it easier on us. We're going to change this pivot point back to medium point so that doesn't cause any confusion. Now we're going to select the modifier button right here, which looks like a wrench. We're going to click add modifier. We're going to go to mirror. Sometimes you'll see when you do mirror modifier, normally mirror modifier, it will come up on the other side. For some reason with the curves, it gives you this issue. It's pretty easy to deal with. I'm actually going to hit X to turn that mirror modifier off because our 3D cursor is right here, right in the center, right where our mirror modifier would normally work. What we're going to do is we're going to go to tab to come out of edit mode, go into object mode. We're going to hit Shift A. We're going to go to an empty, and we're going to make the empty a cube. Empty is just a non-renderable object. We're going to hit S to scale. I'm going to move this empty up slightly, hit S to scale again. All right, so now we're going to select the hair again. Matter of fact, let me name this here. Hair -1. Okay, so we select the hair here. Now we're on our modifier button. We're going to add the mirror modifier again. It's going to do its messed up thing. And to fix that, what we're going to do is see where it says mirror object. We're going to select this mirror object and we're going to select our empty, and you see what happens. That's useful for other techniques in modeling things that you're dealing with in Blender also. But for if you end up with a problem, whether it's dealing with hair or something else, you can just use that mirror object, empty technique, and it'll probably get you out of some issues that you might have in the future. Or okay, and of course definitely got us out of our issue right here. Anyway, okay, so what we're going to do now that we have that, now we can I'm actually going to recommend that you normally for mirror, if you've seen other tutorials that I've done, normally the first thing I do is turn on clipping. We got our duplicate hair, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit tab to go back into object mode, and we're going to hit A to select everything. I'm going to click right here just so it looks like the mirror modifier is applied. I'm going to push the hair up a little bit, and we're actually going to hit S to scale, shrink this down a little. I'm going to hit S to scale on the Z axis to make it a little bit longer. I'm just going to push this down. Now what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to hit a tab to come back into object mode. Actually, sorry. I'm going to hit tab to go back in edit mode. I'm actually going to separate the hair like this. Hit tab to go back into object mode. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to apply this mirror modifier just so we have our, both pieces of our geometry. And the reason why we did that was by doing that, what we can do is hit A to deselect. We're going to hit Z to go transparent. I'm going to hold Control and the right mouse button. I'm going to select all of this hair right here. And then what that's going to allow me to do, I'm going to hit Z to go solid again. It allows me to not have that hair necessarily exactly like in the middle. Like normally with the mirror modifier, we would have to have the hair like directly centered on, where we mirrored it at. And by doing this, by separating it like this, we can have it off center a little bit. So I'm just going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to hit Z to go transparent. I'm going to hold Control and the right mouse button to draw a loop select. It's very useful. I'm going to pull this over, hit Z to go solid. Pull this over just a little bit more. Then I'm going to hit A to select everything. Move this forward a bit more like that. Okay, one thing about this method is, with this method, you do have a lot of control just by using Alt-S and Sculpt, and scaling along the Z-axis and the Y-axis gives you a lot of control of the hair. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Sculpt mode. We're going to hit T to bring up our brush panel in Sculpt mode. We're going to go to grab. We're going to zoom out, and what we're going to do is we're going to use this to push this hair closer to the head. You can see when it's zoomed out, it's pretty easy to maneuver. Now when we zoom in, we don't have as much, control over the hair. But when we zoom out, it's funny. Sculpt mode actually makes this bigger. So you can increase the area of influence by hitting F, pressing F, and pulling or pushing in. But you also can control it by zooming out or zooming in, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, we're going to go to this other side. I'm actually going to hit F to make it a little bit smaller and zoom in because I don't want to grab the other hair. Actually, let me try to grab the edges right here. There we go. Just bring that in. I'm actually going to go back to edit mode to move it down some. Alright, we'll go right back to sculpt mode. Zoom out. We'll pull this down some, push it in a little bit more. Actually, you can actually use this to so it's not totally flat against her head. Push this in a little bit more. Okay. Okay, and you see how there's spaces right here in her hair? We'll just go from grab to inflate, and then we'll just inflate her hair. And see how it's going into her shoulders. Don't be worried about that. It's pretty easy to adjust the hair. And I just have it under default strength. Whenever you're trying new things out, it's very good to save often. So if you get stuck or you mess something up, you don't have to go and redo everything. So now we have, generally the hair, it's filled in the spaces. So it doesn't have so much of a dreadlock look anymore. So this technique would be a cool way to give some dreadlocks. So of course that's not what we're going for right here. Okay, with the hair filled in there, what we're going to do now, I'm going to go back to edit mode, and I'm going to go back to my modifier panel. I'm going to select here. I'm going to go to subdivision surface. I'm going to change this up to 2. Then I'm going to hit W, and I'm going to choose shade smooth. And that just gave us a cleaner look to the hair. Okay, we're going to go back into sculpt mode. My wife actually told me about this, and I like how it looks. And it's using the Crease Tool. I'm going to hit F to scale and just push this in a little bit. And the Crease Tool, you just, kind of like ride up and down, and it gives you a little bit of angularness to the hair that I like. I like the look of it. You got to be careful. See how it's affecting multiple things there, which is fine. But you definitely want to keep control. So we're just going to take the Crease Tool down, these different strands of hair. I'm actually going to hit F, pull it up some more. There we go. It just gives a nice, I like the angularness that it adds to the hair. So I'm just taking the Crease Tool, just dragging down. And you can like really, push it to get creases, but okay, so now we have, I'm just holding the middle mouse button, turn, we have our basic hair formed. What we're going to do now, very quickly, is we're just going to go into object mode. I'm going to hit T to take away the tool panel there. I'm going to push this panel to the side a little bit. I'm just going to split this screen. See this little triangle thing? By grabbing here, I can click and hold, and I can pull the screen to the side. Somebody had asked me about this before. What was actually going on here, and what's going on is this is solid mode that you're looking at. All right, we're in the Blender's cycle render mode. Okay, one of the cool things about cycles is cycles allows you to see lighting and colors, materials in a very similar way to how they'll look when they're actually rendered out. However, in cycles mode, you lose your manipulator. So right here, when I click here, you can see we're in solid mode for both of these windows. I'm going to click here to turn to rendered mode. I'm just going to roll my mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan down. And basically the way you deal with losing your manipulator is you just have two different windows and you just work here and then look there. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to click here over this panel. You can see those double arrows pop up. I'm just going to drag out a little bit to make it easier for you to see what I'm doing as I work with these different buttons here. Okay, with our hair selected, we're going to select this materials tab. We're going to click new. Where it says diffuse, we're going to click here. We're going to change this to a mix shader. What this does is it allows us to mix two different materials together. We're going to click it right here where you see this first shader. We're going to click here. We're going to select glossy. We're going to leave it with its default settings. We're going to grab this bar and scroll down a little bit. And then for this shader, we're going to select here. We're going to select diffuse. And this allows us to set our color. So I'm going to pick a reddish color. And now you can see we have a mix of glossy, a glossy with the diffuse color that we selected. So let me just grab here and pull this over. I'll zoom back a little bit. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, guys, that's it for the tutorial. Yeah, I think this method works a little bit better for dealing with longer hair. For all you guys out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like these videos and you would like to see more, please subscribe and thank you for viewing.